Okay guys, so that headlight problem is fixed, but now I just noticed we have another problem. My repair, my plastic weld repair of this bumper did not work. I just set this thing here overnight. I was just kind of holding like that, you know, and it looks like this just fell right off of it. Just, you know, my plastic welds just pulled right out, which is a big bummer. So I think honestly at this point, man, I'm just gonna go get a big tube of epoxy and just squirt a whole bunch of epoxy and just epoxy that sucker right to the bumper and just kind of be done with it, because I don't want that coming off and I'm tired of messing around with it. So I'm definitely gonna do that. You'll notice that these things, these like bumper supports, came off the sides. I'm not sure, I think this was this side. These supports came off the sides, but of course these are the wrong supports for this particular bumper anyway. It has ones that only have this lower rail right here and not this upper rail. So I don't know what's up with that. I'm obviously not going to find those, because if I find those, they're already going to be attached to the bumper that I'm looking for, and I'm just going to be taking that bumper. So I don't think I'm putting those back on. The thing about these is that they snap into the little clip up here on the top, and you'll notice that the part of that is missing right here where it would snap into the clip. So I was kind of using this as, you know, this is the old style bumper support tool, or the old style bumper support. I was kind of using that to hold this particular bumper in place. So I don't know, maybe I'll epoxy that thing back in and we'll just run with that and live with it, but I'm going to do it right this time so that, you know, it just doesn't break and come off again, because not a problem I want to deal with. And if I can't get it to work reliably like that, then we're just going to have to go ahead and buy a new bumper. But I want to fix it. You know, I don't want to have to spend $300 on this job, because little things just keep, you know, adding up and adding up, particularly with all the paint that I got to fix on this car. So that leaves us to this and that little wiring job that I got to do in order to fix the O2 sensor so that it won't throw that code. My goal right now, my big goal is to get rid of the codes so that I can pass smog check. That's the big thing that I want to pass, the big problem that I want to cross off the board. So I think I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to dig into the box over here and just pull some things apart, and I'll have to go underneath, unplug the stuff from the transmission. I'll just unplug these connectors here, and that'll be it. That's all I'm going to have to do to get that that part of the harness out, and I'll just switch it over, and hopefully we will have no problems. I don't know, I'll turn the camera on here and there as I go through the job. And that would be why our O2 heater circuit was not working, because the rats chewed right through that wire. That red wire is the positive wire on the circuit. I believe the brown wire is the negative. And the negative's been chewed through it as well. Completely chewed, and chewed away, in fact. So, yeah. There's your problem. Right there. There are the edges of the red. The red with white stripe, it looks like, and just the brown wires. So we got a little bit of red here and no section of brown left. Pretty bad. So technically I could, you know, fix this wiring right here and our issue would be solved, but you know, I'm going to go ahead and put the new one in, because why not? Okay, you guys are going to be the watchers, the guys with the eyeballs on what I'm about to do here, or the second set of eyeballs, I should say, because I'm about to unplug all this stuff and then take out the inner electrical box and then figure out where to plug everything back in. So if I forget, you guys are going to remind me. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with one incoming like plug at a time, perhaps. So this one right here, I can see down here, this is actually the coil wires, and then it's got a little connector over here, a little black connector down over here. So that's going to be those wires that I can kind of set aside. Now let's figure out how to get these guys out of the way. There's a little white connector over here. Okay, got that one. Looks like another little connector down in the back here, which I don't think I'll be able to get out yet. Let's jump over here and work on, these are actually the DME harnesses. That's what they are. So we're gonna unplug one and unplug another. So this one that I'm unplugging, that one's coming from somewhere else. So the one that I unplugged from here, that was the second harness, the second flip down harness. So that's how I'm gonna remember that, okay? So let's put that guy back there. There's one more harness here that I wanna unplug from over in this corner that I would like to. And it might be somewhat difficult. Okay, we'll have to leave him there off to the side. I think the main point here is to just unplug our boxes that are in here. We've got the engine box and we've got the transmission box. So I just want to unplug those, get those out of the way. So it looks like if we unplug this guy here, he's going to be coming in from down here somewhere. But this one, this middle guy, he's with this guy, which was our front DME connector on the DME. So this is a transmission connector, a little one, pairs with the DME connector. Looks like that's all coming in on the same harness back there. So we'll remember that one as up over here, perhaps, or something like that. And then we've got the final connectors, which are going to be part of our harness that we are actually switching over. So finally, I think we're getting into the meat of our harness. And let's just make sure that, okay, yeah, these ones are keyed as well. So there's no way I can mix those up. So I'm not too worried about my DME connectors. Can't mix those up. So I'll go ahead and unplug this one from the transmission computer. Can't mix that one up. And we'll get this back one disconnected and the final one, final back one. Looks like just a push connector, just like that. So now we have basically everything unplugged, and this harness here is the harness that we want to get rid of. It's also the one that's grounded right here, so I need to unground it. Okay, put that bolt right back where it was, or that nut, so I don't lose it. So we have a bunch of harnesses that are plugged in various places, because this whole inner thing is going to pop up and come out. So I think what we need to do is disconnect our connectors over on this side. So this is what the new one looks like. It's just this little inner portion right here. So I don't need to unplug any of the other things that are down over here unless, unless these are the plugs that are plugged in right there. And I think they are actually. They are those plugs right there. So yeah, we need to unplug them. But we're gonna know what they are. They all want to come together. What I need is a tool. Okay, little pincers. Should be able to get down in there and unplug connectors. Okay, that would be a no. Got that one, that's the thinner wire. And the back is the thicker wire. Oh man, that one was trouble. And then this guy. Yay. Okay. And that's it. We are changing this for another one. Now, we're not done with this. We need to swap over some relays, namely these 3 relays right here, and we need to swap over these computers. But once we do that, we're golden. Golden, pony boy. And we have all of our fuses in here. So now we need a transmission computer. Let's pop that guy out of there. Ooh. Move that guy over. That's what it looks like, in case anybody is wondering. And our engine computer. Siemens MS-45. Okay, this is all junk now. And we just want to lay everything in. These are all of our connectors. And we know where they went because we were all paying attention. So I think what we're gonna do is set this in first. Hang on. Get any connectors out of the way. I think the trickiest connectors are the ones down here in the corner because they're difficult to get at. So I'm just looking for those. I got 2 of them so far. They're pretty distinctive. This is another one. Basically, we got 2 connectors with red wires. One of them has thick red wires. That one goes on this side. The one with thin red wires goes on the other side. Now we have one more connector that goes over there. And it's this one. So those connectors are in place. And this one just routed down kind of like that. So it's happy. So now we've got to go from the outside in. That's how these connectors want to be built up. So obviously this one, that goes on that end. We have 2 of these over here. One of these guys is hiding. I'm gonna put this one here because that's where it's supposed to be. Let's see, where did the white guy go? The white guy went right down here. So he's happy. And guys, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not messing myself up. And that, as they say, is that. So those are all of our wires, everything connected in here in the box. And now all we have to do is run the rest of this wiring harness back out to the car. Oh, and this is important. We can't forget our ground because nothing will happen without that. Put our ground back in place right there. So I got most of the wiring done. Everything's done up here, all tucked. It looks all nice, you know, tucked in here and here. Looks really great. So like all the top side wiring's done. The electronics box covers back in. So we only have to worry about the lower wiring. That was the transmission wiring, right? You're not gonna be able to see anything really, except you might see, hang on, let's get some light. So you might see those harnesses hanging down right there. And then you might see the little harness down on the ground. Basically, I was having trouble connecting the range selector harnesses together from that one wiring harness to the transmission. For some reason, the new one from the new harness that I put in doesn't want to screw on. The old one, which is down on the ground right there, it does want to screw on. So I think I'm probably going to end up swapping those 2 and just soldering the wires together in the morning. And I want you to keep an eye on that nut right there as I rock this. Yeah, that's a problem. Basically, we need a new lower control arm because that ball joint is toast, and it's not really conducive to try to pop the ball joints out of these aluminum control arms. So I think I'm just going to run to the junkyard tomorrow and grab a new left control arm. But that'll do it for tonight, guys. So in the morning, I'll do the junkyard thing, and we'll continue on. Hopefully we can, at this point, we'll be able to start the car up, and that sensor error should be gone. But of course, now I'm gonna get some errors for transmission codes, which, doesn't help us. So I'll have to solve that issue, and then we can start the car. We'll get rid of that heater code. I had 2 other codes. One was generic idle air RPM, not where it's supposed to be, something like that, and P171. Lovely. So those are easy to fix. So that's going to be tomorrow. All right, so that's the construction adhesive that I did get. Urethane adhesive. Couldn't find like a tube of epoxy or whatnot. It says it's good for plastic. I used it, and I just kind of redid this, put some dabs of glue back here to just kind of really hold it on. I also put some underneath this whole strip right here. I did re-plastic weld the spots here just to kind of keep this thing pressed into the bumper, because I just couldn't fit clamps over this side right here, so that's why the plastic welds are there. I actually used this kit that I found from Harbor Freight. This was only like $16 or something like that. It's actually really cool. It comes with a little soldering iron, which is over there. It's got like the triangle tip. It's made for doing plastic welding, and it actually comes with some metal mesh, which you can, which we would use to actually fix this. I'm not going to do that now because I kind of want to make a separate video on that if I decide to keep this bumper after all. And I don't know if I ultimately am. These are the little clips that the bumper is supposed to be using. It's supposed to be holding in. You see that we've got one of them right down here, but this one's kind of ripped out. I think that one might be good enough to kind of hold the bumper up into place, because this thing grips pretty well, So I'm going to try these. I'm going to try to put these back on, and I'm not going to put those supports back in. Like I said, those supports right down there and there, I'm not going to put them back on here, because if I do that, it's going to be permanent, and they are the wrong supports. So I'm going to try these, see if it works. I'm going to put that bumper back on here. This is the tool, the plastic riveter tool that you would need to get from Harbor Freight. It's relatively inexpensive, under $20 as well. It comes with some plastic rivets. I tried using them originally when I put the thing back together, and these were the size, I believe, and they didn't really hold up well. I think they just weren't quite long enough. So I just ended up using the ones that I had bought from BMW. Those worked out perfectly because those were the right size. I don't have any more of them. I'm going to see if maybe this slightly larger and longer size can work. I don't know if it will. But yeah, this is the actual plastic rivet tool. You can't use a regular rivet tool because the hole is not big enough, so you have to use this plastic one. It's made specifically for it. So I'm going to put this back together, see if I can put it back together, see if I can get it on the car, and then I just have to fix that wiring issue on the transmission range selector, and then we can start this thing up and see what's what with the codes. Because again, the ultimate goal is to get this thing to the smog shop. So yeah. So guys, these longer ones are actually working pretty nicely. And I figured I'd just kind of show you the process of how that works. Just kind of insert the tool in, and then give it a couple of squeezes, and it pulls the thing out, breaks the tab off. So really what it's doing is it's pulling this little center thing, pulling that through, and what it does is it spreads this little outer thing out, and that ends up looking like this, where it kind of spreads it down. This one, I kind of collapsed this one back in. Let's see, do we have another one? Yeah, so like this, where it spreads those little arms out, and it goes like that, and that becomes the rivet. So this is like behind in there, and so that kind of holds the two halves together. And then obviously the little thing breaks off. So that's how that works. And yeah, these sizes that came with the Harbor Freight thing are actually working really well. I don't know why I didn't use these the first time, but yeah. Okay, here's where I'm at. I did get a new control arm, and this is the old one because I just changed it right now. So we're all good here. No more loose ball joint. I did change over that connector on the transmission range selector So that is now connected. That's all done. And I took apart the, I got down to the idle air control valve again because I saw an idle air control code, as I mentioned earlier. And I figured, something to do with the idle air control valve. Remember we did that repair where I sprayed some lubricant in there. Well, it wasn't lube, it was actually solvent in there, and, loosened it up in that video a couple months ago about fixing a nose start and, eloping idle. I took the idle air control valve out and it was still kind of a little sticky, that's because there was no lubricant in there. So this time I sprayed some lube in there, some penetrating fluid. So that is all good now. I've taken the fan out of here for now because that fan clutch over here is, it's just seized up, or not seized up, but it's not spinning freely. It's supposed to, based on the temperature differential, this is like a bimetal plate right here. It's supposed to actually bow out, and then a little plunger comes out, and that actually locks the fan and it makes it spin faster. Right now it's just sort of locked and it's always spinning faster, which is bad because the thing could actually fly apart. These fans, these plastic blades get brittle over time and they will explode on you. So I've taken that out of there. It's just a, it's a secondary fan after all. This is your main cooling fan right here, so it should be good, unless we're in like 120 degrees outside. So for now, that's just going to stay off because it's just sounding really loud and it sounds like it's going to explode. So I'm leaving that off. I've cleared out all the codes. I did warm the car up a little while I was clearing out codes, so I can't exactly do a full sort of drive cycle yet, so I have to let it sit. I think that all of our DTC codes are actually taken care of, so that should be good. And I did fix the wiring down here for the temperature sensor, external temperature sensor. I don't know if I've shown this before, but I did make sort of a roadkill style to-do list of things, and it looks like I haven't really gotten much done, honestly, but it feels like I've done a whole lot. I think that I have solved DTC codes, and I'll get the smog check once we do a couple drive cycles and get all of the monitors to set. Trans service, I plan to change the transmission fluid and the filter because I figure, it's just good insurance. The balance wheel thing, I think that, I had balance wheel and alignment. Balance wheel is because when I got these tires from my buddy, we got them from, he works for a tire shop, and these were takeoffs. They've got like 5/30 seconds of tread on them, so they're about like halfway through their life. When we got them put on these rims, he didn't do it like one of his colleagues did. It was like a young guy who was trying to impress his girlfriend or something like that, and we don't think he put the weights on right because when we were transporting the wheels over, we found that one of the little stick-on weights came off on one of these tires. So I've got to just take the car back to him and get him to rebalance stuff, so that's not a big deal. The alignment, I think, is all about that ball joint that I just changed, that loose ball joint. That's why I was feeling like the car was out of alignment, but I need to test drive it again to check it out. The AC does not work. They'll have to figure out what's going on there. The shocks in the back definitely are gone, which probably means that the struts in the front are gone. It probably needs new shocks and struts. The driver mirror motor does not work. The actual mirror was gone on this thing when I first found it, so there's probably some damage in there, so we'll have to sort of deal with that. That's one of those things that might not get fixed. The gear shift wiring, the Triptronic wiring was pulled out, and I have the new wiring harness for it. I need to just get it soldered in there, which might be really tricky because we don't have a lot of length to work with. So we'll have to figure out what's going on there. The 12-volt outlet right there doesn't work. And of course the paint, that's gonna come last. Polish paint, all that's last. And the door damage, so that's all sort of fix and paint wheels. I'll do that. I plan to do a video on that one because that I think will be interesting. And these two go together, the polish paint, which is really sort of fixed paint. And then change seat. I do have a seat in the trunk. I want to change the driver's side seat because the leather is sort of stained. And that's it. Just those few little things to do. So I have not put the bumper back on yet, just because I need to get those little things fastened to the side properly, and I've only got one of the little little things that's supposed to go in there. So this side is not fastened yet. The other side doesn't have any at all. They're sort of like this. It's this, but the little, this one has a missing plunger. It's got this little sort of plunger on the inside of it, but there's no head on it. When this is pressed in, it's completely flush with the surface of it, but it's this one. You see it's thin like that. So I need 3 more of these. I need to go and get those wherever the hell I can get those. Probably at the dealer, but I don't want to spend $5 each on them, you know what I'm saying? So I'll have to check out the prices there, and if not, I might be getting those from eBay or something. Maybe I'll check Napa. Maybe Napa has them. Yeah, so all I really need to do is get those 3 plastic fasteners. I can get the little bumper support things back on, get the bumper refitted. Then I can take it off the jack stands, go drive it around for a little bit to get the monitors to set. Hopefully no DTC codes come back. Then I can go get it smogged, and then I will be able to complete the registration. I'll have the car. That whole nightmare will be over, and then I can just fix all the rest of the stuff that's wrong with it. So yeah, stay tuned. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. I'm the 50s Kid. Thanks a lot for watching.